Right, before I start this video, I'm just going to cover a question that I got from a video I done literally 4 years ago. I had some very small Trachycarpus seedlings in pots. This is what they look like now, so 4 years on. This is what from a 2 or 3 strap leaf to still a quite small palm. It's got a little bit of a trunk on it. I haven't done anything special with these. These have been in the same pot for a couple of years and they could do with repotting, which will happen in the spring. So I've literally just up potted them once or twice from very tiny seedlings. So that's a sort of an update on them. These have been left out just about every winter. I think I did put them in the hothouse one winter, but apart from that, these have been out all year round. Everything that winter can throw at them, they've been okay. They're real tough little palms. They would grow quicker if I repotted them or put them in the ground, obviously. Right, so we're sort of coming towards the end of a really cold spell here in the UK. I say really cold, it's not been that cold. Cannas are still green, they haven't melted. Colocasia still absolutely fine. The ones further down have got a little bit of frostbite. Temperature at the moment, so this is Thursday afternoon, so we had a very slight frost Monday night, and the coolest temperature, we can't really see it there because it's fogged up, but it's 0.5 is the lowest we got, so not quite, basically at freezing point, but not quite freezing. We did have a light frost. Luckily, you can see the New Guinea impatiens. The flowers have dropped, but the foliage is still there. Yeah, so luckily at the weekend before this cold spell was due to kick in, I did manage to put up a few shelters, so I haven't quite finished them yet, just the basic coverings, and I will make everything neater and more solid. But basically to keep the cold, wet, slight frost that we got, it keeps them off the arid bed. So that's just a cover over the top and on the front, like I always do. Still got some bits laying about, so I'm still doing a few bits. The Paragebaya Chirellii. I was actually going to, well, this video is going to be mainly on the queen palms down further down, but we'll cover this area as well as we've walked past it and seen it now. This is just some polycarbonate sheets I had from the old greenhouse roof. Put them to use. So last year I did actually enclose this whole square seating area in and put a door on the front. This is like a greenhouse over winter, but I didn't want to go to that extreme this year. Just really want to protect the main little bed in there. So we've got some tender palms, like I say, Paragebaya. So it's going to be kept a little bit drier, and I've got some plastic mesh I've wrapped around the fronds, and then when it is cool, like it has been this week, I've just put a fleece bag over the top, which will come off as soon as it warms up at the weekend. I say warm up, it's still going to be cold, but it's not as cold. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to do with that, and that'll be the same all winter. I'll just chuck the fleece bag on when we're going to get below freezing or around the freezing point, and then that'll come off when it's milder. I am going to put a board across this bit here because I have got some more tender stuff in here. We've got a Phoenix Rupicula, we've got Cordyline, Superstar, and we've got some Phoenix Robellini. They survived winter last year, so very small plants, so we're going to try and get them to survive again. So yeah, I will sort of enclose that front bit in just to keep the worst of the wet and wind out, but they're still will get very cold. It's not going to heat them up other than when the sun comes out. Maybe during the day that heat up slightly, but it is plenty of air gaps around it for airflow. Right, so let's get to the point. We're talking about the queen palms here. So growing queen palms in the UK, you know, it's always going to be borderline. Doesn't matter where you are, even as far south, you know, Cornwall and that. And yeah, I mean, we're only one bad winter away from getting wiped out, but I'm not going to go into all that. All I'm going to talk about now is what I'm doing to protect the queen palms. I have got 5 dotted about the garden. So before I go into that, I'll just explain the other fleeces. So again, I've got a Brahea edulis underneath this one. So again, I've just got the plastic mesh wrapped around the fronds of the palm, and then that'll stay on all winter. And then when the cold hits the possible minus temperatures, I'll just put the fleece bag over the top, so it still can breathe, but it's just stopping that frost hitting it. And again, that fleece bag will come straight off. It's, you know, at the weekend when it's no chance of frost. Same with the Brahea mark at the bottom. Just tie the fronds up, put a fleece bag over. Easy. Haven't done anything with the tree ferns. Don't need to. We, like I say, we barely got a frost, so there's natural leaf fall in them. That'll protect the crown until we go down to about -4. Then I might put some fleece in the top, but not too worried about that at the moment. Right, so first of the queen palms, because that's what we're talking. So this was another viewer question: can I do a specific video on queen palms? Whether the intention was about overwintering or just in general. Very makeshift. So what I've just done here is a small queen palm, and what I like about queen palms is there's a lot of pros and cons to growing them. We know they're going to be very slow. We know it's a bit risky in winter, but they take up such a small area when you tie the fronds up, because the fronds are straight. Different to like Bootea odorata or any Booteas, or even the Bootea agris, where you've got a slight curl to the leaves. That's a little bit more difficult. But when queen palms, they're sort of dead straight fronds, so once you tie them up, they literally take no space at all. So all I've done here is literally, and it looks bad, but it's enough until we get more cold or colder. It's just a plastic bag which is open at the top. I've put some stakes in the way of bamboo canes, 4 around the palm, slid the bag over the top of the tied fronds, and then just put a cloche over the top. So the cloche, it's got a little vent on top that is open, so it's not going to sweat because the bag is open and the cloche is open at the top, so it's just stopping the frost hitting the fronds. I mean, this is not a whole winter long thing. When it's mild, again, I can just whip the bag off and the cloche, and if it gets really bad, I'll put the cloche over and a fleece bag. So for a small queen palm, that's quite easy to do. This is literally only about 4.5 foot tall. So for the smaller the palm, the easier, but obviously the smaller the palm, the more susceptible it's going to be to the cold. I've got a slightly taller queen palm here. So the one we just looked at was actually the mountain form queen palm, Santa Caterina. This is the standard queen palm in this one. The fronds finish here. Again, I've just put bamboo canes in, slipped a long plastic bag over the actual tied fronds, and again just a cloche on the top. So again, as soon as it gets a bit milder, I can whip the whole thing off, no problem whatsoever. If it gets a lot colder, I can fleece bag the whole thing, easy peasy. To be fair, the queen palms I'm showing you now, they've all only been planted in the spring this year. it's starting to rain, so I'm going to try and hurry up. But they have been, the last few years, been being acclimatized to the cold by slowly giving them each winter a bit more cold each time. So this is the tallest one I've got. I'm thinking about 11, 12 foot tall. Yeah, maybe about 10 foot actually, because looking at these, so these are the panels I'm using, which are just a corrugated clear plastic. I'm thinking they're about 5.5 foot. So for a small palm you could just use it at that size, but what I've done with one I'm going to show you, I've just put a couple of cuts in a corrugated on two pieces, then slip them into each other alternately, if you know what I mean. So they slip into each other nice and solid, and then I've just bent the corrugated round in a circle and tied it or strapped it. So what we've got basically is a tiny little greenhouse. It's only like a foot, well, it's about 2.5 foot wide, these panels, so it's probably under a foot radius or circumference, whatever. I'm not a mathematician, but basically, yeah, so you've got basically a clear tube there with the corrugated clear, and what I've done is I've hammered a stake in one side, wrapped the corrugated around, screwed it in the stake so it's solid, and then I've also braced it with a piece of wood across there, which is strapped on there and tied to the arch frame there, so should be fairly solid. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, so that's just two corrugated bits together, tied up with tie wraps and a bit of string round, and then we've got the cloche on top, so even on a sunny day that warms up, that is gonna warm up slightly, but because the cloche has got the vents at the top, the heat can escape. So it's not going to go to one extreme to the other. That'll warm up slightly, but just a nice bounce back rather than heating up like a really hot greenhouse or something. That's just going to give that a little bit of protection. So we'll see on this one. I mean, and I call this a queen palm. It's not really a queen palm. It's a Cyagrus. It's Cyagrus coronata, so very similar to a queen palm. Probably not quite as hardy, to be fair, so this is going to be the one to watch, because if I lose one, it's going to be this one. So I've got another queen palm. This is a standard queen, so this was only planted this spring. So again, I've got the corrugated wrapped round, post in the ground, screwed to the posts, and then tie wrapped. I've only put one sheet of corrugated on this one because it weren't quite tall enough to warrant two on top of each other, as it were. So at the moment I've just got a plastic bag with a cloche over the top, but again, the point of that is I can just whip that off when it's mild, and then I'll put a fleece bag over that that has got a couple of big canes, again just to support the cloche on top. So again, all that's doing is keeping it a bit drier, and you know, when the sun comes out, it gives it a little bit of a bounce back temperature and just stops the frost hitting the leaves, so hopefully it'll stay green. Right, so for the very last one, it's starting to rain again. It's currently about 4 degrees, so it's not warm by any imagination, but it's not as cold as it was last night. It only got down to about 2 degrees last night, but like I say, we've had a frost Monday, and we're due for one tomorrow night, so this is why all protection is still up. So the very last one, you can see I'm sort of ducking underneath the Phoenix Canariensis here, which we'll look at that at the end because they started flowering again for the second time this year. So the last queen palm, this is the one I have had survive 2 winters so far, and I'm not going to go into on paper, or if you look it up, how hardy queen palms are, because that'll give you a rough idea, but that's also, you know, maybe a mature specimen, not a small specimen, but this is quite a small one here. Let's come round. So this is Syagris romanzoffiana Santa Caterina. So it's a mountain form queen palm basically. Survived 2 winters. This is the 3rd winter. Still quite a small palm, probably barely 6 foot. Probably just under actually, because the fence is 6 foot. So I've just got a shelter over the top, real basic makeshift shelter. And I have, again, just slipped a plastic bag over it for now, which is open at the top. Because obviously the shelter is stopping any water getting in, so it's just protecting the leaves again from cold wind and whatnot. So this one has seen -7 and didn't even spear pull, very little damage, just a little bit of damage on the new spear pushing through, so that gives me hope for some of the other ones. So I mean that's basically what I'm doing for what most people would say is quite a tender palm, especially for the UK. Again, I'm not going to recommend everyone growing queen palms because they're not fast growing at all. You'll be lucky to get 2 fronds, or some places you'll be lucky to get 1 frond a year. Most of mine have done 2 fronds a year, so they're not quick at all. And as long as you can protect them so don't lose the fronds they've got, then you know you're still gaining. You're not starting from scratch every year. Yeah, so at the first light frost we've had of the year, so it's not too bad for middle of November. And yeah, the elephant ears, you know, colocasia definitely didn't like that. I mean, they're still green. They haven't totally packed up. In fact, they ain't looking too bad at all. Actually, some of them are looking worse than others. But yeah, they're okay. So in conclusion, queen palms can be done. I won't say I'm hugely mild zone in the UK, but I am milder than some, but definitely not as mild as others. So let's finish up on this. So this is the one palm I don't protect. I only protect it once when it's very small. The Canary Island date palm. It flowered for the first time this year, so we got a big flower spike out there, and it did put out, I don't know if you can see through there, there's a golden spike out the back. So that done that fairly early summer, and just in the last few weeks, because it has been mild, we've got another 2 flower spathes now opening up. This one literally just opened up a few days ago, just split open. So yeah, first time it's flowered, and it flowers twice in 1 year. Right, it is starting to rain quite nastily, so I'm getting wet, even underneath here. We're going to leave it there. I'll probably go more detail in some of the other winter protection I'll be doing, maybe at the weekend when I finish up. I've literally just done the bare basics that I needed to do to get through this week. I haven't even got a lot of the palms I want to get into the summer house here. I haven't even got in, so we've got some small Washingtonia robustas potted up. We've got some little yuccas, various sort of elephantites type, the fancy variegated ones which really should be inside. They are sort of half under the overhang here. Right, so this has mainly been a video. Hope it's answered the questions that I was asked, and we'll finish up in here with the ones that are tucked up. So this is another queen palm. This is another mountain form queen. This one's got a nice chunky trunk, but it is in a pot, so this is undercover in here. So that's all I'm doing to protect my queens. Oh, really bleached out the light. Yeah, so if we get much below freezing, then I will, any of these structures over the queens, I will use fleece bags as well. I won't be heating at all. I'm not going to be putting heat cables on or anything like that. They'll take their chances. If it was a bad winter, chances are we might lose some. If it's a mild winter or an average winter, we should be okay. We will see. Right, wish me luck. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.